What is up, family? You're listening to Living Beyond the Dream podcast, a podcast where we're having practical conversations for your church and yourself to turn them into a reality. My name is Mike. Again, I'm joined by my man, Tyler.
Come on.
Man, we have been blessed week in and week out.
Oh, yeah.
I think we are hitting over 30 podcasts up to this point, which is, I can't believe we've been knocking out for 30-something weeks, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Closing in on a year, which is a blessing that you guys have been listening with us every single week.
Yeah.
Tuning in, subscribing, sharing, commenting. It really has meant the world to us. And I'm excited we're again talking a little bit more, building off of what we talked about last week, kind of really taking this topic to the next level. So let's break it down today.
Yeah. Today we're talking about budgets. How, when, even who. I think this is a really important topic that can bring a lot of stress to a senior pastor or an executive pastor, or if you have a bookkeeper, something like that, but can also alleviate stress if you handle it in the right way. And I've talked to a lot of churches that are in a reactive budgeting mindset. You know, we have an event coming up, I need money. Well, how much do you need? You know, that's a dangerous cycle to get in. So today we're going to dive into how to get into a proactive cycle. So you know what's coming up, you're prepared for it, you've stowed away for it, you're being a good steward.
Yes.
So just to start it off, what is a proactive budgeting cycle?
Well, proactive budgeting cycle is planning ahead, not reacting to the moment. And everybody does this a little bit different. Yeah. And so you need to figure out what's conducive to you. I found I'd rather be more strategic, closer to the cuff than waiting too late. Yeah. And what do I mean by that? So a lot of businesses and even churches do 12-month budgets. And there are some things you budget yearly. I'm not disputing that. So we do set down a yearly budget of what we're kind of aiming at. But what we do is we sit down and we project every 90 days ahead. Yeah. That gives us the ability to sit and plan, what does these next 90 days look like? We get to sit down with the trustees and see this is the growth, this is where we're growing in, what God's doing. And it gives us the ability to respond to the future and also react to our growing momentum. Momentum is a tricky thing, and once you lose it, it's hard to get it back. Yeah. And if you're waiting too long to move towards hiring or giving raises or adding positions, you're going to actually lose some momentum that you need in your church. So by keeping 90 days, you're able to see where you're going in the trend and be able to react to it, and also project, hey, we got these events coming up, we got these things that we're working on, and that allows us to stay on it. So every 90 days, we're having another review. What's the next 90 days going to look like? What's the next 90 days look like? And what did we just come from? That gives us the ability to respond more close to the cuff. So when issues arrive or opportunities come, we can respond to that.
Yeah, that's really good. We talked about this a couple episodes ago in like big calendar planning, but I love the 90-day idea. But to make sure that you know what's happening in those 90 days, like what are some best practices into the annual planning?
Well, you need to look at a few things. One, you got to look at your calendar. So you definitely look at what we talked about before a few podcasts ago. So you're wanting to look at your events, things that are going on. But you also want to look at some growth trends. Yeah. You want to look at the growth trends of the finances. You're going to see consistent growth over an area. Now, you don't ever want to build your budget off the highest growth. Yeah. You want to build it off the average of growth, right? Yeah. And what do I mean by that? Right? Like, you might say, well, my last 2 weeks, we've been this. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying over the 90 days, you're looking at the average of what you're growing, and that's going to give you an idea of what your budget should be. Because here's the way we frame our budgets, and differently. I don't even know if you're planning on going into any of this. So I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but this is just where my mind goes. Because I think it's pertinent to where we're at. A lot of businesses and organizations, now we didn't invent this, and so we've learned this and been discipled in this, but a lot of business organizations, I came from the corporate world, so I understand. I ran a property management company for almost a decade. Yeah. What we do is we would project what we brought in the year before, i.e., we would say, hey, we brought in X amount of money, we saw a 10% growth. So they naturally assume that next year they're going to bring in another 10% growth. So they will set a budget for a year at 110%. Yeah. Basically, they're projecting they're going to break even and then add that extra 10% growth like they did the previous year. So that's made up money. And then what happens is they start getting around 8, 9, 10th month, and they start realizing and panicking, they're in the red.
Yeah.
So it's sell, sell, push, just to try to break even or hit the black, because they realize those numbers aren't on trend as they were the year before.
Yeah.
Churches do this also. Churches see growth. They present a budget at 100%, 10%, and then all of a sudden they go, oh my goodness, we're not coming close. We're losing money. Payroll is going to start struggling. Give. Toil at your heart. Please. Bang, bang, bang. Lights won't stay on.
Yeah.
We've got to give. And it's stress. That's not a healthy way to do it. It's not a stewardship way to do it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't inspire people to give long term.
So true.
You may have a few people that have pity giving on you, but that's not building any. You can't build things off of pity giving.
Yeah.
So what we've learned to do through mentorship, and what we've learned is that we set a budget based on an exact amount we brought in. So we look at what we brought in, and then we set a budget on 90% of what we brought in.
Yeah.
That leaves 10% without a name on it. That gives us the ability that if we break even, we have 10% that goes into a savings account that we can respond with.
Yeah.
If we grow another 10% like we thought we were going to, now that's 20% without a name on it.
Yeah.
Guess what that does? If we see the trend continuing, now we have more money to add to that 90% budget that now we can expand into our salaries or into expansions. It's how we were able to put a large down payment on a building project we're in. It's how we're able to launch campuses with. It's because what we're doing is we're seeing needs and we're able to respond because we have the margin to do that. Also, whenever we see needs in the world, right? Like when the hurricanes have hit, we were able to send some relief. Whenever we've seen a church need an extra giving, we were able to respond. Why? Because we have the margin.
Yeah.
So what you need to look at is say, okay, I brought in this amount of money. Okay? I'm going to set my budget at 90% of that.
Yeah.
And then that leaves 10% that we can sink into an opportunity fund.
Yeah.
I don't like to call it a savings fund. I want an opportunity fund that I can respond when God gives us God always opens doors for stewards.
Yeah.
So when you're a steward, you have the money to respond with. We're not building savings account. God's not impressed with your savings account.
Yeah.
He's impressed with your opportunity account, your stewardship account. Why? Because that money doesn't need to grow and just stay stagnant in there and die. It needs to be used for the kingdom of God to expand it. But what we're doing is preparing for it. And then by evaluating how you grow over the last 90 days, you can see, can we increase our salaries or can we increase some budget areas here because we're seeing the trend going up and we're still within the 90% mark.
Yeah, that's so good. How would you say acquiring this mindset has affected you with Bloom? What has it done for you?
It's taken the stress off of me. I don't look at people with money size on their foreheads.
Yeah.
I look at people's people.
Yeah.
I don't look at people and I panic during the offering talk and think that I have to give a good one this week so they'll give more because we're struggling. I don't do any of that because I realize that when we teach biblical principles and people feel confident in the church leadership and the way we structure it, they naturally want to give and they want to be healthy in it because they see the growth, they see the health, and they see the stewardship.
Yeah.
So that builds confidence in people and it takes that pressure off of me. I don't want to be up at night.
Yeah.
I don't want to be stressed about finances and wondering how we're going to pay things. So I'd rather be a steward and be very strategic with that so that we can have the comfort and the ease to be able to minister the way we need to minister and not let other outside stresses keep us from ministering purely and faithfully.
Yeah.
So that's a very important thing as a leader to need to really grasp around.
That's so good. Taking it one step further with some practical tips and stuff, maybe the leader out there, it's a newer church or something like that, and they say, after hearing this, it's like, man, that all sounds great, but I don't have the means right now to bring on a bookkeeper, or I don't have the means to do anything like that. What can they do?
Well, you don't have to have if your budget's small, you don't have to have a bookkeeper. Mm-hmm. What you need to have is just strategic planning on where money's going and tracking it. Mm-hmm. So you need to invest at least in QuickBooks and log things into QuickBooks so you can have this idea of that where your money's going.
Yeah.
And as you grow, you can add that bookkeeper in. I do think a bookkeeper is an important thing to add very quickly into your church because you need to have that accountability in the finances.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is it's less about the position and it's more about the tracking and evaluation of what's coming in and what's going out.
Yeah.
By doing that, you can be more strategic with your finances and realize a lot of people don't think they can afford things they can actually afford.
Yeah.
So a lot of churches, because money's going everywhere and there's no accountability to it, no structure to it, you don't realize you have the money to hire something, part-time or have to virtually hire a bookkeeper, you don't think you have it. It's because you don't really keep pulse on it.
Yeah.
That tends to be the problem with most people in their personal finances, right? You go out to eat here, you spend a little bit of money there, you spend money here, you buy that here. Next thing you know, you don't have no money, and then you tell yourself, well, I ain't got no money to have that, or I don't have no money to have this. Well, you do. It's just because you're letting little bits of money leak out here, without any accountability to it or watching it. So then all of a sudden, when you get the statement at the end of the month, you go, we're broke. Yeah. That's what churches do. That's what businesses do. They're leaking money instead of letting every dollar have a name attached to it and telling that money where to go. Don't let your money tell you where to go. You tell your money where to go.
That's right.
You tell your money, this is what we're going to use you for. And by being strategic with that, you're going to realize you have a lot more than what you thought you have, and you can do a lot more than what you thought you had.
Yeah, 100%. That makes so much sense. And I would encourage people to look into outsourcing that. I mean, I truly think that you might be a little gun shy, or you might even not even know that is an option, but some local CPA firms or something like that, just to know where's it going, prepare the books monthly, reconcile, all that kind of stuff. It's great. So what is, you mentioned last week about tithing.
Yeah.
Is the tithe something that's built into your budget?
100%.
Yeah.
It's built into the 90%. So the 90%, when I say that might be a little confusing, but what we say is the 90% is the 10% is just money we sink into an opportunity account.
Yeah.
So the 90%, that's our 100% we're budgeting off of. So 10% of that is what we tithe with.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so yes, 100%. That's in a line item. There is this percentage of that 10%. What we've done in our church is I've broken down several ministries we really feel like we want to pour into, organizations, and they get a percentage of the 10%.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think these are some really healthy and practical principles and tips to really get your finances under control. Another thing that we can do, if you're listening or if you're watching this, is we can actually give you some sample chart of accounts that can help out with organizing where your finances and how they're being categorized. We can give you a sample budget sheet as well to kind of just, again, help you get it in order and help it make sure that your classifications are in line and help know where it's going. And then also books, references. Yeah. There are so many books out there that can help you. Even if you don't know, maybe you don't know about accounting or anything like that. There's a book that I was actually just reading. It's called 60-Minute CFO. And it says it's supposed to take you from not knowing anything to literally having a full grasp on what or how a financial department works within an organization. So it's an incredible book, but we will post these links in the video down below. So,
come on.
Yeah.
It's important to resource yourself. Don't let the overwhelming of something new keep you from health and success.
Yeah.
And listen to me. You got in this business because you're a leader.
Yeah.
You need to lead it right.
That's right.
You can't just stick your head in the sand and act like nothing's going to happen. So you need to take your responsibility, but there are a plethora of resources if you just seek it out that can help you out with that.
Yeah.
And that's important to win in your finances.
Very much.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, and I will say this. Let me add this to it too. There's a couple things you need to realize. I'm not the sole proprietor or the sole mind when it comes to our finances. There is accountability with our finances also. And that's an important thing to understand. We have a trustee board that actually oversees our finances. These are members of our church, but they're not on staff at our church, and they're not paid by our church.
Yeah.
They are businessmen, entrepreneurs, leaders in their workforce, and they love our church. And what they do is they meet monthly with you. I'm there most of those meetings to kind of get an update of what we did the previous month, how our budgets are looking. They approve whether or not we can afford the salaries of what we bring in. So I will put out there, this is what I want a staff member to be paid, but they will say, yes, we can afford that. No, we can't based on our budgets. They're also approving the organizations I want to tithe to. They trust me, and so when I say that, but I also want their approval on that. They set my salary. I don't set my salary for me. I pick people I like that like me, so they. No, but they set our salary. Yeah. That's my pastor joke. I say it every single membership class. So Tyler's laughing not because it's funny, but because that's what goes on.
Consistency,
right? I only got a few jokes. If you want better jokes, you need to tithe more. That's another one of my jokes.
Another one.
I got that one from old school Tommy Barnett. So that's OG pastor jokes. But what they do is they keep us accountable. They give us wisdom. They give us advice. And so that way, listen to me, I'm not a small business owner.
Yeah.
And this is what I try to tell pastors. You're not a small business. This isn't your business.
That's right.
That checkbook you have that's not your business checkbook that you're just writing out. You are more like a CEO of a stock-funded organization.
Yeah.
If you want to turn it in business sense, what does that mean? All the stockholders have a portion of that church. So all the givers and the members of your church have a portion of control over your church, and you are representing them as the CEO, right? And so as that ability, I have to be accountable to other people. I'm not the one that just gets free reign with their finances. I have accountability. They have the legal right, based on our bylaws, to yay and nay things that I want us to do and say, no, we can't afford this person. So that's what I always bring up the board, and they meet monthly.
Yeah.
So that way we're always on top of the finances, especially in the building projects.
Yeah.
They're always checking everything and letting us know. When we wanted to launch a campus, we presented it to the trustees before we presented it to anyone else. So this is what we're thinking financially. They agree to it, vote on it. So you need to have accountability in your organization. You cannot be the sole person accountable for it, because that's how dishonesty happens, even from the purest people.
Yeah.
It's easy to be dishonest when you don't even mean to be dishonest.
Yeah.
What do I mean is, I'll pay it back, or you know what, the church can help me here, or what, and that's not healthy. You need to have accountability, so much so that you feel confident and pure every time you sit in those meetings, because you got people always watching it and keeping you accountable, and they give you advice and help you move the ball forward.
Absolutely. And to tack on to that, I mean, that's a very high level of accountability, like overseeing the entire finances. But like, even the person that counts your offering, like, never have just one person counting it alone. Always make sure that there's a second person in the room, just for that sole purpose of accountability. It's just safe.
It's always healthy.
Yeah.
So you can win in your finances.
Yes, you can.
Your church can be successful, and that's all we want to help you do. And I hope this blessed you. I hope you got something. If this is something that you feel like is beneficial to someone share this, send it out. We just want to help people. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, what are you doing? Get your subscribe on. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that bell so you never miss an episode again. Give us a comment if you have anything good to share, man. We'd love to hear from you. Have any feedback, send it our way.
Yeah.
You want us to talk about something, let us know. Tyler will post his email down at the bottom, or you can DM him on whatever accounts he's on. So make sure you do that, because we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, pray God's peace.